Hey everyone, we're back with Dragon's Oath by PC Cast and Kristin Cast. Let's see what happens in chapter 4, shall we? The spell began utterly completely right. Later, Anastasia could only shake her head and wonder how anything that started so well could have ended so disastrously. Perhaps it happened because she'd taken the time to change from the dreadful, confining clothes she mistakenly began wearing since becoming a professor. After all, had she not been at that particular part in that spell, at that exact moment in that specific place, had one of those elements shifted just a heartbeat, everything would have changed. Well, everything did change, just not as she intended. The moon so she raising herself. And what was the response? A ridiculous attempt to be someone she was not. Anastasia now wore the article of clothing she loved most, a favorite long, soft skirt the color of blue topaz. A month before being called to this new wonderful house at night, Anastasia had been learning limpant Indian maiden's dress. She she would sewn glass beads and shells and white leather fringe all around the skirt's hem, and the low round neckline of the sleeveless butter-soft tunic top. Anastasia did a little twirling dance step, setting the shells and fringe in motion. I would never wear these horrible, constraining clothes again. When I was a human, it was all I was allowed to wear. I won't make that mistake again, she told herself sternly, and then she flung back her head and spoke to the moon and then heavenly in the angry sky. This is who I am. I am a vampire professor, an expert in spells and rituals, and I am young and free. She was going to take her high priestess's advice. Anastasia was going to be earthsome. She was going to find strength in her youth. I am also going to dress as I wish, and not as if I am an ancient school marm, or a Pennsylvania quacker like the human family I left behind 6 years ago when I was marked, she added silently. She would remember to keep the peaceful, loving part of her past, without its confines and restraints. I am earthsome, she said joyfully, particularly dancing through the calf-high grass that covered much of the prairie surrounding Taro Grove House at night. It wasn't just the physical freedom a change of clothes allowed Anastasia. It was the freedom of Pandana's confidence in her had provided that made all the difference. And to that, the fact that the night was warm and clear, and Anastasia was going to do something that brought her almost unspeakable joy. She was going to cast a spell that would automatically benefit a house of night, her house of night. But stopping in the field dotted with wild sunflowers had been a careless mistake. She knew sunflowers would attract love and loss, but Anastasia hadn't been thinking but about love. She's been thinking about the beauty of the night and the allure of the meadow, and the truth was she always loved sunflowers. The meadow was breathtakingly lush. It was close enough to the Mississippi that Anastasia could see the willows and rowings that lined the high bluff like western bank. She couldn't actually see the river because of the trees and the bluff, but she could smell it. The rich scent that whispered of earth's fertility and power and promise. In the center of the meadow, perfectly To catch all the silver light of the full moon was a huge, flat stone border, just right for the altar she would need for her drawing spell. Anastasia put her spell work basket on the ground beside a large rack and began setting out the ingredients for the ritual. First, she brought out the silver challenge her mentor had given her as a going away present. Going away present. It was simple but beautiful, adorned with only the etched outline of necks, arms raised, covering the crescent moon above her head. Anastasia unwound the green shimmering altar cloth from around the little cork jug filled with blood-spiked wine and flipped it open, letting it settle naturally across the top of the rock. She placed the chalice in the center of the rock and then freed the big hunk of wax paper from the basket, opening it to expose which represents the panels from the basket. Anastasia found north easily by turning upriver, then the northernmost part of the rock that she placed the green pillar, representing the closest to earth. While she placed the rest of the candles in the corresponding directions, yellow for air in the east, red for air, fire in the south, blue for water in the west, and purple with spirit candle in the center. Anastasia controlled her breathing. She drew deep breaths, imagined air pulling air infused with the earth power up through the ground and into her body. She thought about her students and how each very much wanted the best for them, and how very much she wanted the best for them, and how very, and how the best meant that should see each other clearly and move forward in their path with truth and honesty. With the candles, when the candles were set, Anastasia brought out the rest of the contents of the spell work basket: a long braided length of sweetgrass, a tin that held wooden matches and a lightning strap, three small valet bags. One held dry bay leaves, another spiked needle of cedar tree, and the third was heavy with sea salt. Anastasia closed her eyes and sent the same silent, heartfelt prayer to her goddess that she did before every spell or ritual she ever attempted. Next, you have my oath that I intend only good in the spell I work tonight. Anastasia opened her eyes and turned first to the east, lighting the yellow candle for air, calling the element their circle in a clear voice, using simple words. Air, please join my circle and strengthen my spell. Moving clockwise, she lit all 5 candles, calling each element in turn, completing the spell work circle by lighting the purple spirit candle in the center of the altar. Then she faced north, drew another deep breath, and began speaking from her heart and soul. I begin with sweetgrass to cleanse the space. She paused to hold the end of the braid over the flame of the green earth candle. As it lit, she whiffled it gracefully around her in a lazy loop, filling the air above the altar with thick smoke that rolled in waves. And any negative energy must leave without a trace. She set aside the still smoking braid and held her left hand out, palm cupped. Then she reached out for the first of the valet bags. She crumbled the dry leaves in her palm. She continued the spell. Awareness and clarity come with these leaves of bay. Through earth I call their powers today. The cedar needles came next. Anastasia breathed in their fragrant scents as she mixed them with the crushed leaves in her palm, saying, Cedar, from you it is courage, protection, and self-control I seek. Lend me your strength so that My spell shall not be weak. From the final valley bag, she scooped out the tiny sea salt crystals, but instead of adding them to the other ingredients, the Anastasia had a palm, which was now filled with the bay seeded mixture. She tilted her head back, loving that a warm fire kiss when that smell of river water lifted her thick fall of blonde hair, giving evidence to the fact that the elements had indeed joined her circle and were there, waiting to receive and fulfill her request. As she began to speak the words of the spell, Anastasia voiced her on a lovely sing-song lit, so it sounded as if she was reciting a poem of music only her soul could hear. A drawing spell is what I seek. I work tonight. My wish is to cast clarity of sight. With leaves of bay, I will reveal the truth. Love should not be based on arrogant youth. Cedar strengthens and protects from the boy's steeds, lends courage and control to fulfill their another brother in her. Now that she needs to know her name and speak each of the 15 names in turn. Taking advantage of what was now magically infused mixture into the earth's flame, while she hoped and prayed, each bell would stick and each each student would see dragon with clarity and truth and honesty. In this flame, the magic cuts its soul like a sword, drawing only the truth of Brian Langford. As she said his name, it happened. Anastasia should have been speaking the first pinch of the mixture, then sprinkling the first pinch of the mixture into the flame and speaking the name of the utterly Langford of doing Ronnie, and instead the night exploded around her in chaos. And testosterone as a young fledgling burst from behind the nearest hand-thrown tree. Son, don't move. You're in danger, he shouted at Anastasia, giving her a rough shove off balance, her arms whirlwind so that the magical mixture was tossed up as she went down, landing roughly on her bottom, which was where she sat, watching in open-mouthed horror while the warm wind that had been present since she opened her spellwork circle caught the magical mixture and gusted it dashingly the entire palmful directly into the fledgling's face. Time to seem to suspend. It was as if reality for an instant shifted and divided. For 1 second, Anastasia was looking up at the fledgling, frozen in the moment, sort of like the statue of a young warrior god. Then the air between her and the unmoved fledgling began to glow with a light that reminded her of the flame of a candle. It rippled and roiled so bright that she had to lift a hand to shield her eyes while she squinted against the glare. The brightness split down the middle, parting on one side of the fledgling's face as if framing his body in tangible light, and formed the center of that adjacent in front of the boy. Anastasia beheld another figure. At first, he was indistinct. He took a step forward towards her so that the light illuminated him, and he totally blocked her view of the fledgling. He was the same general height and size as the boy. He too was brandishing a sword. Anastasia looked at his face. Her first thought, followed quickly by shock and surprise, was he has a kind face, handsome, really. And then she gasped, realizing what she was saying. You're him, the fledgling behind you. It's you. Only it wasn't really the boy. That was clear. This new figure was a grown man, a full vampire with an incredible, exotic-looking tattoo of two dragons facing the filled-in crescent at the center of his forehead. Bodies, wings, and tails stretched down his face to form frame of firm jaw and full lips that tilted up in a dismally charming smile at her. No, you're not the fledgling, she said, looking from his lips down to his brown eyes, which were sparkling a reflection of his mouth. You drew me, Anastasia. You should know who I am. His voice was deep but pleasant to her. I drew you, but her voice trailed off. What had she said just before the fledgling appeared? I managed to jostle something her stomach. I just said in this flame of the magic cuts like a sword, going only the truth of Brian Langford. Anastasia cut off her own words, saying, staring at the vampire statues, dragon tattoos. How is this possible? You can't be Brian Langford. How do you know my name? His smile widened. You were so young, I forgot it. Holding his gaze as with his, he swept with a courtly bow. Anastasia, my priestess, Brian Langford is exactly who you did draw me. Who you did draw. I am he briefly choked out. I have not been called by Brian by anyone except you for a very long time. I didn't mean to literally draw you vampire. Not know that she could be on the altar rock. Brian's was one good judiciary. That's the truth of me, and that is what you conjured my own. That is who I will come in the future, which is why I am here. Why which is why I am, as you said, old and a vampire fully changed. The fledgling over there behind me is who I am today. Younger, yes, but also rash and entirely too sure of himself. Why do you how why do you know me? Why do you call me my own and how why do you make my heart feel as if it is as an excited bird that is ready to take flight? She added silently to herself, unable to speak the words. He closed the small space between them, crouched behind her, beside her. Slowly revealing, reverently he touched her face. She couldn't feel his hand, but her breath still caught his at his nearness. I know you because you are my own. I am yours, Anastasia. Look into my eyes. Tell me truthfully what you see. She had to do as he asked. She had no choice. His gaze memorized her as he did everything about this vampire. She stared into his eyes and became lost there in what she saw. The kindness and strength, intelligent and human wisdom and love, utter and complete love. Within his eyes, Anastasia recognized everything she ever imagined a man to be. I see a vampire for love, she said with no hesitation, but then hastily added, but you're a warrior. That's obvious, and I can't. You see the vampire you do love, he said, stopping her. He said, stopping her words. He leaned forward, covering her face with his hand, and pressing his lips to hers. Anastasia shouldn't have been able to feel anything. Later, she replayed the scene over and over in her mind, trying to decide how a conjured phantom of a man could have possibly made her feel so much without actually being actually being able to touch her at all. But then all she could do was tremble and hold her breath as desire for him, real or imaginary, passed through her body. Oh, she breathed the words on her side when he moved slowly and regretfully away from her. My love, my own, I am a vampire and a warrior. I know it seems impossible right now, but I believe the truth is. So become the person you see, the man of kindness and strength, integrity and humor, wisdom and love. I need you. Without you, without us, I'm only a shell of what I should be. I am the dragon without the man. Only you can make the man stronger than the dragon. Remember that when the young, rash, arrogant version of me attempts to drive you mad, he continued to beg away from her. Don't go, he smiled, filled her heart. I'm not going. I will never will leave you, my own. I'll be right here growing and learning. He glazed, glanced behind himself at the frozen statue of a fledgling struggle, meaning her gazing. Even though that may be difficult for you to believe, sometimes give us a chance, Anastasia. Be patient with me. Will be worth it. Oh, and don't let me kill the bear. It wasn't going to harm you. It like me was on drawn to you because of a spell going slightly magically aware. Neither he nor I, he paused and his deep voice of nor even my own arrogant self has anything maleficent in mind this night. And my own, my love, I would never allow anything to hurt you. As he spoke those last words, Anastasia felt a chill flow through her body as if some god or goddess had suddenly poured ice water into her veins. While she shivered with an odd mixture of foreboding and desire, the adult specter of Brian Langford, his gaze was still locked with hers, stared backwards, light blazed as he was observant to the younger version of himself who instantly began to move again, feeling like she had just been hit by the locomotive of one of those huge coal-eating trains that traverse America. Anastasia watched the younger version of the vampire who, in thorough touch, still through her suddenly for him it had now been by the magical smoke and shadow. Just then the bear roar, making the air around her vibrate, and Anastasia knew this was no illusion. Langford's eyes were clearly clearing quickly, and he was moving with deadly intention towards the creature. Don't hurt it, Anastasia shouted. The bear was accidentally brought here by my spell. It has no malevolent intent. Brian stepped back out of immediate range of the huge creature's claws. Anastasia watched him study the bear. Do you know this through your magic? He asked without taking his eyes off the animal. I do. I give you my word on it, she said. Brian glanced at her and Anastasia felt a strange thrill of recognition and that look. The fledgling blinked and said, you had better be right. Anastasia had to press her lips together to keep from shouting at him. The grown version of you wouldn't have said that. She doubted he would have heard her shout. He already turned his entire attention back to the bear. The big creature towered over the boy, but Brian simply reached down and grabbed a candle nearest him from the altar and held it up before him. The flame of the red candle blazed like a torch. Ha! Go, he shouted in a voice that held more command than she could ever expect from someone who wasn't even a vampire yet. Get up here, go on. This whole thing was an accident. The priestess didn't mean to draw you. The bear flinched back from the brilliance of the candle. Huffing and ground, Brian moved a step forward. I said, go. With a huge sense of relief, Anastasia watched the beast drop the all four with one last huff at the fledgling, trot sedatively away towards the river. Acting pearly on the instant, she got to her feet and rushed towards Brian. Okay, you're alright. You're safe now. Everything is under control, he said, as she ignored him and took the still flaming red candle from his hand. Don't break the circle. The spell has too much power to waste, she said sternly. She didn't look at him. She didn't want to be distracted. Instead, Anastasia covered the flame with a protective hand and carefully placed the candle back in its place at the same position on the altar before she turned to face Brian Langford. His hair was blonde, long, thick, and tied back, which made her remember the older Brian Langford, which also had been the same light color, long and thick, but had fallen free around his shoulders. Framing his kind face, had it been just a little gray at his temples. Somehow she couldn't remember though. She couldn't remember the exact color of his beautiful brown eyes. What is it? I didn't break your circuit. The candle never went out. See, it's back where it was before. And then realized she'd been staring at him without speaking. You must think I'm completely dragged. She opened her mouth to say something, and that would explain a little of the strangeness of the night. And then she could really look at him. The young Brian before her, he had salt scattered all over his face, crystals of it were caught in his brows, and his hair was covered in bits of bay leaves and cedar candle leaves. Cedar leaves. Her son giggled at surprise and brushes. Bro, I risked my life to save you from a wild creature and you laugh at me. He was trying to sound stern and offended, but Anastasia could see the sparkle of humor in his brown eyes. You're wearing my spell work, and yes, that makes you look funny. It also made him look boyish and quite handsome, but she kept that part to herself. Or at least she thought she'll keep that part to herself. As the two of them stood there staring at each other, the sparkle in Brian's eyes seemed to become knowing. When his lips parted and began to tilt up, Anastasia gave a little strange little lurch and quickly, although I shouldn't laugh, no matter how funny you look, my spell work over you means I'm going to have to remake the entire mixture. Then you shouldn't have thrown it on me, he said with an arrogant flip of his head. Anastasia began to fade. Amusement began to fade. I didn't throw it on you. The wind blew it on your face when I fell because you shoved me, really? He held her finger as if taking the direction of the breeze. What wind? Anastasia Brown himself his down was drawing on my belt, and he continued as she spoke. I knew you promised that I protect. I need to protect the baby in an accident. It was confusing, not dangerous. I was in a spell, and some of the baby got caught by it. So it was a spell. The, the interrogation that began to creep into his voice vanished to be replaced by an arrogant chuckle and another knowing look. That is why you called my name. You want me. We will begin chapter 5 tomorrow. So, y'all can leave comments on the video I do. And tell me what y'all think. So until then, bye. See y'all. And I love you.